guys, we are Sistah Sistah. Welcome back to our listeners as well as our YouTube watcher on season 2 of Sistah Sistah.
Yes, welcome back everyone. I am Miss YaYa, singer, songwriter, radio and podcast host, sketch comedy performer, and some other cool stuff.
And I'm Zeitlin, also a singer, songwriter at times, have my own PR marketing and events executioner, as well as a restaurant owner, community activist, y mucho más.
And yes, thank you to our subscribers. Make sure you hit that notification button on our YouTube and your favorite podcast platforms to get alerts of all new episodes. And tell your vecina, la tía, la comadre, and you, and because we want to talk to you from everywhere.
That's right. And we're all about encouraging women, shining a light on queens in business, music, community,
health, wellness, and more. Speaking as real and as Spanglish as we know how. And in season 2, we are going to talk to so many great guests changing the game in their industries. Right, Zee?
Yeah, that is right. But today we have Isabel Rivera, an Emmy-winning TV, digital media, and marketing producer with more than 20 years experience creating compelling programming and media content. Entrusted by respected corporations, including CBS, NBC, Macy's, and Goya Foods.
Miss Rivera produces live streaming content for clients including Vogue TV, O Magazine, Macy's, and Chanel. She delivers specialized content designed to reach a target audience, increase product awareness, and spike market share. Isabel has unique insight into tapping the growing U.S. market as well as the Generation Z audience.
Yes, mi gente presente. The multi-skilled boss lady is committed to community outreach, not only professionally, but also personally as a member of the Metropolitan Museum of Art's Advisory Council on Cultural Engagement.
And now she has a fun vlog called Latinas Love Lipstick. And yes, we do. We welcome Isabel Rivera to the show. Hey!
How are you, ladies? Ooh, that's a fancy background with the sparkle.
We try. Hi, Isabel. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, so we just pretty much did a full introduction on your 20 years experience as an Emmy-winning TV, digital media, and marketing producer.
Wow.
Whoa.
She says wow, like she's like, wow, who are you talking about? We're talking about you.
How are you feeling today? Thank you for coming to our show.
Good, excited to be here with both of you. I feel a little underdressed. I really love all the makeup and the color. You guys look fantastic.
Listen, Isabel, the last show we did, I didn't even bother putting on makeup. Zee was like, try to put some effort today.
Can you put some effort, please?
Funny.
Isabel, you are the true representation of the women we celebrate in this show. You have an admirable trajectory and people need to know who you are and school us on how you got to where you are today.
So I grew up in New York City and I knew I was going to college, but I never really kind of figured out what path I was going to take. And so back then in the 80s, communications was brand new and that was like media. And I felt like my skill set matched that perfectly. So once I decided that was the course I was going to take, I got an internship working at ABC, and then that led to a lot of job opportunities. I worked at ABC News, I worked at Regis and Kathy Lee, I worked at Good Morning America, I worked at Primetime Live. And while all of those were really phenomenal experiences, I looked around at the women that were excelling, and they didn't have a lifestyle that I thought was for me. They were lonely. They were constantly fighting to be included. There were very few women of color. I mean, maybe one or two. So I decided at that point to be entrepreneurial and really just have my own projects that I can control and that I can incorporate people that I want. So if I talk to a doctor, I really wanted to make it a doctor of color. So that way, a lot of times, all of the images of people that we saw that look like us were always the criminals. And there were so many people doing positive things. So I really went that extra effort to find someone who can look like us, but also be qualified, and really have that CV, that resume that everyone has, but a lot of people don't reach out to them. So once I did that, I started doing my own productions, my own shows. And when I had my son, I didn't want to work 14-hour days, no matter how much I loved it. So I pulled back and I started working more freelance, and that's worked out for me too, where as opposed to having a whole big production, people can hire just me, or I can hire a group of people to work on our projects. And a lot of times in these, after the recession in 2008, a lot of people were looking for someone just to dip in and out that way. And so I was always making sure that I was flexible and that I stayed on top of the media trends and what was changing so that I can adapt to whatever was needed and fill that void.
That's really awesome. So you graduated from Fordham University and you set out on a career path of media and communications. Did you ever feel any pushback from the people around you, being a woman, being a Latina, and how did you handle those situations at that time?
Well, this week is 30 years that I graduated from Fordham, though sometimes it feels like yesterday. To be honest with you, I think that there was pushback, but I didn't see it. Now, if I, hindsight and having all of the experience I have now, I can see more where people did put obstacles in my way, or maybe were critical of things. A lot of times, people are always trying to figure me out. Like, I didn't go to a private school. My father didn't go to the country club with their dad. And they were trying to figure out how I got there. But I don't know, nothing really stopped me. I just would kind of walk past that and keep moving and just keep trying to find another opportunity. And I feel then, as now, that's oftentimes the hardest part of the job. Who is gonna really go into that room and pound the table on your behalf and fight for you to be the person to do this job or get this project? There are not enough networks like that for us to really be like, to go out of the regular circles of people that get this type of work and really pound the table for you. I feel like I have, I'm bilingual. I do a lot of work with the Gen X, millennials, now Gen Z. So I really try to be more nimble in picking my projects, so that way I wouldn't just be like kind of holed into one. And that's been helpful, but a lot of times that's the hardest part, just to really have someone allow you to have an opportunity. And then after that, you really have to prove yourself and really over deliver. Yeah. Because, especially if it's the first time out of the gate, people want to see more. How can you stay, on budget, below budget, deliver on time, figure out solutions for yourself until you have to call the boss in, So it's really kind of, even though you're working for yourself, you're always working for someone, and understanding how to know the culture of the place you're working for and how you can benefit the person that you're working for, because that will assure you other jobs.
Absolutely. Walk us through that moment, because you already said that you are owner of your own production companies. You kind of paved your own way in business and multimedia. But walk us through that moment that I say, wait a minute, I could do this, and I could do this on my own. As a woman, as a Latina in multimedia, walk us through that aha moment. I could do this.
I think that, when I first started out, I was really looking to go up the corporate ladder. There was 3 television stations. I feel like that was the first, because that's what your parents said, right? My dad was like, have a job. I've worked here 10 years. I'm loyal to them. You have to work your way up, keep your head down, don't create problems. blah, 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 blah. But then when I got to work, I realized that is not how other people were doing it. You know, they weren't afraid to ask for what they wanted. I had to figure out how to negotiate for a salary. I had to figure out what other people made to understand if I was being paid a comparable salary. Now, along the way, I did really try to have mentors. A lot of time, there were very few women of color, so I always tried to reach out to them first. I had a great mentor in Anna Carbonell who worked at Channel 7, and she would constantly let me work on her projects around the job that I had. So I already had a full-time job, and I would help her during my day or after my day was over. And she really just allowed me to tell her what I was missing in production, and to have the ability to do that on one of her shows. And she did community service shows in the Latino community. So I feel like making connections with people like that who would allow you to fill the gaps of your resume. I feel like I think I wanted to look at my life and be happy. And I love to work. And I feel that a lot of the corporate route, none of the women were ever as happy as I wanted my life to be. So I feel when I worked at Good Day, that was really the first place that I worked with a lot of women of color. It was a room full of African-American women, Latina women, and our boss, while she was not of color, she allowed us to fly. We'd throw her ideas, and oftentimes it was a yes rather than a no. And I feel like that was also empowering to have like-minded women who had a strong, you know, whether you agreed with them or not, but they really had a strong point of view, and everyone was kind of in the same boat. So it was, you know, I feel like I was always just trying to figure out how to be creative and get my ideas across. And then down the line, you find that energy does attract people, like-minded people to you. So down the road, I worked with another Latina producer. She was from Miami, and we realized that our skill set complemented each other. So where she was directing music videos and I was producing TV shows, and we just really paired up well, and we sold the show and, you know, did all of that. So, I mean, I feel it is different now with all the technology is different. I feel this generation, they feel very entitled, like they can do it. And, you know, I applaud women who have that self-confidence because it's hard and it's still man-driven. When you look at the people with the real money and the real power in media, it's generally white men. And so we still have ways to go, but there is a lot of change and a lot more opportunity.
You're a prime example that just because of the way things are doesn't mean that's the way things have to be. And everybody's different. Everybody has to work the way that works for them to get to where they specifically want to go. And it's great that you had women mentors with you throughout your career, because like you said, it's a man's world. No es fácil, la cosa no es fácil. But you're a great inspiration and a great prime example of what it takes. And at the end of the day, it takes hard work. And even if you don't fully know what it is you want to do, just doing something and working towards something. And you're also a member of the Metropolitan Museum of Art's Advisory Council on Cultural Engagement. How did that come about, and where do you see that relationship going?
So it has a very long name,
What happened?
but this council does great work. When I was, I think it was in the 7th or 8th grade, I went to Catholic school and I did very well in art. So the museum gave the Catholic school I went to a scholarship. So every weekend I would go, and my mother would take me. And so she would attend like a free seminar with, you know, some tour or some kind of artist coming to talk. And then I would go and take my art class. And afterwards we would share with each other what we learned, and we would go explore the museum on our own. And I felt like it was just such a lovely experience to have with my mother. And it was just a way to really understand that big institutions like that. I mean, I lived literally 20 blocks from the museum, and I can tell you, none of my friends ever went to visit. They felt that was nothing there for them. And when I went, I just felt like it was just like this open door to things that really interested me. And all of these beautiful artifacts and paintings and activities that were free of charge that a lot of kids that live in in our communities do not even know of or take advantage of. So I don't know, 12 or 13 years ago, a friend of mine, Nada Martinez, who works in the arts, said they were looking for someone to come volunteer. And I felt it was important because part of that volunteering is to get the word out about what the museum is doing to our communities. So like we helped organize this fiesta event, which was a full day of celebrating Hispanic cultures. We helped book the guests, we helped get the word out, we helped give ideas. You know, we really want the museum to be a welcoming place and also to see ourselves reflected in the activities and in the artwork. So it's been really fulfilling. I was just on a call with them yesterday because these are challenging times for them as well as everyone. But I do feel that they are looking to make authentic relationships with the community, and they look for people who understand the communities to work with them. So that's my work on that committee, and it's been really fulfilling and a wonderful experience working with them.
That's awesome. And you said a comment that is very, very true and is a great segue. Look at where the world is now. So what have you been doing to keep active in this pandemic, keeping busy business-wise, personally?
It's been challenging. My dad passed away in April, so I feel like we've had a first-hand experience of dealing with the pandemic from, you know, it's not 100% he didn't pass away from COVID, but it's a distinct possibility. We've had to navigate, you know, the funeral home. We found a great partner in that, and just kind of grieving while social distancing has been challenging. You know, so, and most of my projects, because I do a lot of creative projects, were canceled. So I'm not presently working on anything. And I have a teenage son at home who is homeschooled, and, you know, he doesn't really let me help him with anything, no matter how much I really want to get in there and talk about Julius Caesar with him. My husband's a newscaster, so he's been at work throughout this whole thing, and we have a lot of COVID information. We have this camera, this is his camera back here in case he has to broadcast from home. So we've kind of been really having a first row experience to what's happened to the city and people that we know. I mean, I feel like anyone who lives in the city, they're at that point that either they know someone who's had COVID, they know someone who's passed away from it. It's kind of like that 9/11, 6 degrees of separation, that every day you go into your social media feed and you're finding some connection to the experience. So you know, I guess I'm okay with staying at home most days. Like it's not that bad. I mean, we have, you know, water, I could create projects, you know, do activities, but it's, you know, I don't know. I think that everyone's mental health has been affected by this, and we really won't know till probably a year from now truly what impact it's had on all of us.
Wow, I'm so sorry for your loss, and I absolutely empathize. My sister passed away also, and
I'm so sorry.
It was not COVID related, very similar, but she was super ill. But the experience of this social distancing while grieving, and that was a whole level of, that was another level. So I my true condolences.
Thank you.
Oh boy, I don't even know how we.
No, but I think that this is real. It's real conversation. It's our reality, and it's a conversation that needs to be had.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's new ground for everyone. You know, it's not like anyone is the resource on this. Every day the virus is changing. Every day there's new information. You know, and so I think that it's new for everyone, and we're just all, you know, figuring it out.
Yeah, you've always been evolving in your career, and it seems like you've been always ahead of the curve. So what kind of advice or tips do you want to give to professionals who want to dive into multimedia in whatever way, shape, or form, either television or digital media?
I think some of it is really relationship based, really understanding how to interact with someone, you know, kind of saying thank you, sending thank you notes. Really, sometimes that entry level relationships, you know, which I would call for my generation home training, really takes you far, right? So there's people who have connections, whose parents can, you know, call up their friend and be like, hey, can you give my daughter an opportunity? But in our communities, we don't really have that. So what could we do to stand out and connect with someone? The one thing I would say first is not to be afraid. Reach out to everyone. You do not know what connection you can have with that person that they will respond to. And oftentimes it's not the one that you think. It's not the latest project you work on. Maybe it's the college you went to. Maybe it's the place that you volunteer. Maybe it's you have their mother's name. You just really never know. And really be authentic when you talk to them as a person. Know how to be brief. Have your 1 minute summary of the job that you want, the job that you're qualified for. And once they take you on, never leave that person hanging, because you just don't know that the business is very small. So a year from now, somebody will reach out and be like, hey, did you work with Isabel on this? You know, and that can be a whole other, for me, it's another revenue stream, but for someone looking to build their resume and their work experience, can really make a difference for them, for their exposure. A lot of, if we're talking about young people, people are looking to tap into young people on how they experience media. So they're looking for you to come in with a point of view, with what works with your demographic, and have those ready in your mind, you know, like to really come with information. You're not, you know, don't look just to be a paper pusher. Really kind of come with being able to offer something from your experience or from things that you've looked up or that you know. You know, a lot of older people don't understand influencers, do not understand all of the ways young kids talk to each other. TikTok, Snap, did you know that TikTok came from Musical.ly? You know, to really kind of have that information for someone would make you very interesting as a hire. But I would just definitely say, and just ask for what you want. The worst thing someone could say is no. And so what? You know, you're back to, you're right where you started. The best thing that could happen is that they say yes, and that, or maybe you're not perfect for their project, but they liked you enough to say, to tell their spouse, their friend, their colleague, like, hey, oh, you need someone for that project? I met someone and you should talk to them. And those relationships really matter, because that's how you extend your network of people that would be willing to tap into you for a project. I mean, the other thing is to know what you want, how much you want to get paid, figure out, you know, I think women are trying to do a better job of being more open with each other. Now there's these tools online, like if you're going to go for this job, it kind of gives you an idea what other people in that job get paid. So I think that's important too. And you have to know the climate that you're working in. So like right now, maybe a job that you get paid $50,000 for, they're not going to have that amount of money. So know that maybe you need to get $40,000 this year, because that's what they're going to have with this crisis. So you just have to really be aware, informed, and excited. I just feel like sometimes you talk to people who are getting a job and they're so like, I have to get coffee. Do I have to can't I just text you? No, if the person who's hiring you is telling you to call and talk to them on the phone, call and talk to them on the phone. In fact, I would just call and talk to them on the phone, because that is so rare. That will make you stand out from everyone else who just wants to send a 5-second text. And, you know, text oftentimes does not show your earnestness, does not come, you know, with the sound of your voice that you really want to do the job well. You know, so I feel like anytime you can talk to someone on the phone, take advantage of it, be brief, but also I feel like that's a more compelling way to build a relationship. And also these relationships are professional. Don't talk about your love life. Don't mention anything negative. Understand what the project is that you're going for. Understand who the competitor is. Do not badmouth the competitor or your project. If you don't like something, keep it to yourself. That goes a long way.
Calladita te ves más bonita.
Very true.
Absolute, that all makes absolute sense. And it's stuff that people would think that it's common sense, but sometimes people forget, or people get too comfortable, or people see how other people are doing things and they're like, oh, I could be as nonchalant as that person. No se puede.
Also, I feel like everybody thinks they could be Cardi B. Cardi B is in a lane by herself. She has an authentic personality that works for her audience, but that doesn't work for everyone. That she is just like this kind of isolated person who can curse and speak her mind. But no, nobody wants to hire Cardi B on a project, and have to be a team player. You have to know who you're working with.
And who you are as a person, authentically as a person, so that comes across as well. So circling back, you have this vlog that's all that you have this vlog that we are loving. I see. Espérate. What inspired you to create Latinas Love Lipstick? Because we do.
And we do.
We do. So it's a passion project, and a lot of times I really use it for clients to show like, hey, I can create this blog for you. I can write different voices. I can create this platform for you that can be on different. So it's been really useful for me in that effect. But Latina Magazine did this survey that said that Latina women wear lipstick apply lipstick 8 times during the day, and if that kind of brought up conversation. This was in the 90s that this came out, and with my friends. So I always thought it was just like my mother who would tell me, like, when I was sick, she was like, ponte lipstick, you feel better, right?
It's true.
Put lipstick on, don't look sick. Don't let people know that you feel sick. You put lipstick on, and it's better. You look better, you feel better. So, always the Latina girls are the ones at dinner reapplying the lipstick after they've eaten. Our other women friends do not do that. We love the, Latina lipstick purchases for women overall, like even in a recession, women will buy lipstick to make themselves feel better, even though they can't afford the rest of the makeup bag, but they'll buy a lipstick. So it's just kind of like every time I meet with Latinas, I feel like somehow this lipstick conversation would keep coming up, and everyone kind of has the same stories, but nobody ever shared them because we thought it was just our crazy families having these stories. I have one friend, Lisa Kirandango, who's Puerto Rican. She grew up in Queens, and we had this discussion how when we were in grammar school, they have like all the kids sing on, I'm a terrible singer, have all the kids sing on the stage, and I would come off the stage and my mother would be like, I heard you. You were the most beautiful. You sang the best. You were the best. And her mother told her the same thing too. So it was just kind of funny that we, my other friends, their mothers didn't tell them that, so it was just kind of funny that we had similar experiences, but all these conversations would start. You didn't have that? Oh, sorry. So I guess, you don't realize how nice it is until you're actually a parent. So, and it's kind of like, is it helpful or hurtful? It all depends on your own personality too. But I feel that all opens up with the lipstick conversation and how much Latinas love makeup, love hair. They go to the grocery store, they're like full out. Nobody's wearing rolos. Nobody's trying not to look cute, when they're even like going to the corner store, and if you do look bad and your mother or your titi or your neighbor sees you, it's like, ¿qué te pasa? ¿Qué le pasó a la hija de Alicia? So you were like a bigger reflection of everyone. So not only did you have to look good for you and for the boys, you have to look good because your mother would say that you were a reflection of her as well. And I feel that carries on through our lives. So that just started as a fun way. And I would interview Latinas that I've just met and love and I think are funny. And that's just, so I should definitely get back to it. But I did that last year and it's done well for me.
Yeah.
It is so fun how something so simple has all these backgrounds and lineage of like traditions and culture. It's phenomenal and it's so creative. And thank you for creating it. And yes, jump back on it.
Okay.
Okay, ready? So we are recording, right? Everybody's good? Standing by?
Operation. Oh yeah, I pressed.
These are familiar lingos, right, Isabel? Rolling. Rolling. Stand by.
Right on the set. Right on the set.
Mami, cállate.
So Isabel, we always ask our guests a wellness question. And since we are living during unprecedented times, which can be stressful for most, what are some tips you can share on how to stay centered during these uncertain times?
I don't know if there's any real magic answer to that. I think we're all struggling with sleeping and gaining weight. If some people, like I tend not to eat when I'm upset. More people eat when they're upset, but there's really nothing else to do. And I'm a terrible cook. So, you know, not everybody's loving all these meals I've been making. But I think maybe this is a good time to start good habits for better times. And one thing I would definitely say is to get as much rest as possible, like sleeping. And, you know, I always function best with 7 to 8 hours sleep. And it keeps you looking young. It helps you be more involved with work, more alert. I think those are important things. I think I don't like going to the gym, but I do like to be moving around and in motion. And I think that's important. A lot of women in particular are sitting down at a desk all day, and then they just either drive home or take the train home, and there's not really enough movement in their day. And as we age, all of these things are really important for us. I have a friend who's starting a platform now called the 50ish, and she just wants to focus on women that look 50 and sexy. And so I was helping her a little bit for her launch. And a lot of women, you know, also will talk about going through a crisis and kind of finding strength that they didn't know they had, a resiliency they didn't know they had. So right now we are really going through a crisis together, and we need to really share with each other what works and how we can really be mentally better, physically better when we're able to, you know, be more active. It's really important. And also you have to take care of yourself first, because you're not a good girlfriend, you're not a good wife, you're not a good mother if you're in a bad place. And usually if the female in the house is not in a good place, everyone is not in a good place.
You tell them, Isabel. Everybody, they say the man is the head, but we the neck. We control.
Nobody likes when that neck starts moving.
No, honey.
Where's the head gonna sit if they ain't got no neck? Need a neck need a foundation right there. Makes absolute sense. If you're not good, your energy will spill off into the closest people around you, and you don't want that. So thank you, Isabel, so much for being with us today. This has been a great chat. You are an inspiration. I just want to go for a run right now. I'm so freaking inspired. You have no, like, for real. I just want to do it all right now, but I'm going to plan, like you say, plan and know what it is you want, and it'll help you negotiate things that you need and all that. So taking all these notes. But on that note, before we leave, before we let you escape from us, our last segment for you is called Yes or Nah, which means during this quarantine, what have you learned you can live with or without? So we're going to ask you a series of questions where you tell us what you have learned to live with or without while being quarantined. You have you have the timer ready? I
have the timer ready.
Okay, good. I love playing games. Yeah, okay.
You have 30 seconds to answer as many questions as you can, okay?
Okay. So, who am I beating? Has someone like done a number that I need to beat? Like what's the incentive?
Let's see.
You're gonna be the first. We're gonna tally it up. We'll see. Right. Okay.
Right. Oh, so I'm setting the bar. Perfect.
Yes, you're setting the bar. All right.
Ready. 3.
You got that timer?
Yes. 3, 2,
All right. Junk food, yes or nah?
Nah.
Dressing up?
Dressing up? Nah.
Wine.
Yes, absolutely. Number of different choices.
A routine?
A routine? No.
Zoom meetings.
Yes, essential.
Homeschooling?
Essential.
Exercise.
No. I clean. That requires stretching and pushing things out of the way and bringing them back and squatting down.
That's exercise.
It is for me.
Mm-hmm.
Coffee?
Yes, essential.
And leaving your house.
If you need to. There's nowhere to go. Everything is closed, but definitely need to go for fresh air and a walk and something just to kind of feel like you're changing your surroundings. But there's ways to do it to remain safe.
And your favorite curse word?
Fuck. Just like that too. Under your breath.
Yes, just like that.
So please share all your social media handles where people can find Latinas Love Lipstick and all of that good stuff. And people need to find you.
Right. So anyone can email me, isabelrivera@me.com. On Instagram, Latinas Loves Lipstick is on Instagram. And on Facebook, we have a page. I'm on Facebook and I'm on Instagram as Isabel Rivera NYC.
Yay! Thank you so much, Isabel. And much love for your family.
Yes.
Thank you. Then the next time I'll have the glitter curtain. I'm
yes,
prepared.
darling.
I'll practice it. I'll get it for the next time.
Yes. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye. She is an inspiration.
She's amazing. She is, like I said, she is the true representation of what we talk about in the show.
Like seriously. And what I love about her is that, and this is something I've struggled with my whole life, that when there's been a setback, well, not in the last like year or two, but growing up, if there was a setback, I'd be like, no. But she was like, oh, you saying no over here? Okay, I'm gonna go over there. You saying no over here? They saying yes over there, which is amazing. And this is what we need to teach kids from birth.
Yeah, that is the truth. That is the truth. And I think this is what we do in this show. We want to, like, there's something I learned last night. I was watching TV and it said the difference between an OG head and an old head. And an OG head is somebody with wisdom, experience, that's willing to pay it forward, to give back. An old head is somebody that's just like, I did it. This is my bad.
I like that. Where'd you hear that?
I was watching T.I. And Tiny Hustle. So T.I., people underestimate T.I., but T.I. is a dope dude, and he's super smart. So I heard that, and that just kind of like, whoa, that's exactly what I want to do, what I've been fighting to do. I always share all my resources, whatever I learn, I share it and pay it forward. Like, hey, even something as silly as a garment. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh, you like this? Girl, check that website out. You know, stuff like that, because that's how you grow. That's how you see other people grow. Mm-hmm. You can't hold it in, and that's just negative energy anyway. So
you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And it's hoarding information. Like how would we been able as a society to move forward if, imagine everyone who came before us hoarded their information. Imagine if everyone that Isabel reached out to hoarded their information. She wouldn't, she had the drive and the commitment to get to where she is, but if everyone she came across was hoarding their information and was just like, nah, I'm good, I don't need to help you or give you tips or give you this opportunity, she wouldn't be where she is right now. And that's a lesson for everyone, that hoarding information is not good. It's not productive. It doesn't help the community grow. It doesn't help you as a person grow if you're keeping it to yourself. And you're absolutely right. It is negative energy.
Yeah. And overall, we always complain about, we don't see enough of us in the industry. We don't see enough of this. We don't see enough of that. But it starts with you. Mm-hmm. You need to start empowering people. You need to start like, hey, come. No, you doing this? Let me support you. Mm-hmm. You know, that way we grow. That way we start seeing more and more of us present, not in all fields and in all markets.
And we got to get to the root of why people feel they need to hoard information. Because being lazy and not wanting to help someone else is one thing, but keeping it to yourself, there are some people out there that think that they lose something with giving someone else their knowledge or their resources. No, you don't lose. You're just expanding your network as well as the person you're helping.
My personal intake, it brings out insecurity. Mm-hmm. It's about you really thinking that if you let the next person in your world or in your circle, that you're going to be weeded out. Mm-hmm. And that's a problem. The problem right there is that in every space, you're unique. And in every space, you stand alone. So yes, help the other person, but that person has probably a magic that, yes, you don't possess, but that's okay because you possess your own.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Preach. Can you tell that to the salsa market? I mean, what? Booyah.
I'm just saying, like, this is why we do what we do. This is why we're so passionate about why we're doing these shows and really celebrating and highlight beautiful women and beautiful people in our industry that are putting a positive stamp. Mm-hmm. So that great tip that Isabel gave us, it's about nourishing and cultivating relationships. Show up, follow up, and follow through.
I'm leaving. That's the best. Listen, you have mastered the art of paraphrasing, okay?
You don't even know. I got another one. You ready for this? You ready for this?
I'm ready.
And I gotta give credit, a little disclaimer to Kathy from Dreamy Events Decor. I kind of stole her, but she gave me permission. So you ready? Hashtag Plandemic. But you know what it follows?
Give it to me.
Motivate, activate, educate.
I like this.
How? You know what I'm saying? How are you motivating yourself? What are you activating? And what's your takeaway from what you're doing and how you're sharing it with others is the education component.
Boom. And on that note, because we gave our viewers and our listeners a lot. We gave them a lot. I hope they were taking notes. They could always rewind. It's fine. And on that note, we're going to wrap it up.
Wrap it up. Thank you, Isabel Rivera. Thank you for sharing your wisdom, your experience with us, because you are a